Okay, we may have a few others coming in soon, but we'll make a start. And as you can see, we're here today to talk about authority positioning, which is specifically the strategy that I've found to be most effective. You're fair way there, Danusha. Good to see you. The authority positioning strategy, which has been the most effective strategy that I've discovered, used, and employed in my past 3 consulting firms, as well as working with my clients, now helping them to attract more premium level clients consistently and predictably by using this authority positioning strategy. And to tell you the story, we'll go into that a little bit later on about how using this strategy I was able to increase my sales success by 866%. Okay, so what we're going to cover today in this training is, first of all, looking at the challenge that we find in marketing consultancy services, and particularly around how to make client acquisition and revenue growth more consistent, more predictable. Also, one of the problems that I see in professional services is that challenge around client acquisition. And the challenge I see is not necessarily around consistency and predictably as well. That's one problem, but the other problem that I often find is getting clients who operate like they're the master and you're the servant. And authority positioning is a particularly good strategy to employ to overcome that sort of balance in the relationship, where you need to be more, possibly even a little bit higher status than your client to deliver your best services. I wanted to also talk about how to use authority positioning and focus specialisation to create strategic authority. And by that I mean how to use authority positioning very strategically so that you are able to attract your ideal clients who are almost virtually pre-sold before you get into a sales meeting with them. And finally, how to build a strategic authority attraction marketing system that can help multiply sales and profits within 12 months. So hopefully that is covering the bases as far as why you're here on this call today and what you're looking for. If that's what you're interested in learning about, I'd love just a little yes or a Y in the chat, just to know that we're on the right page here. So feel free to put any questions in the chat as well as we go through. Good, a few yeses coming through. That's good to see. So we'll definitely look at covering that. So who am I and why should you listen to me? Well, I'm the founder of Business Flight Path, but in the previous 40 years, I've actually started, grown and sold 5 businesses. And the last 3 of those have been in the professional service space, in consulting, coaching and accounting. But that's not really the main part of the story. The biggest part of the story that is relevant to what we're talking about today is that I was just the same as any consultant. I was never a brilliant salesperson. In fact, that will become very obvious as I tell my story. The first year that I operated in a consulting practice, after coming out of selling my previous business and getting involved in consulting, I had to start off from scratch. I had obviously no clients to get referrals, and was not really a great networker. I've developed some skills around networking, but being an accountant, you might imagine, I wasn't so great at networking. So the only way that I had to get clients was to use cold calling as a strategy. Now, even that, as you can imagine, as an accountant, going and doing cold calling wasn't something that I really was very good at, and not, well, even a bit afraid of the rejection that often comes with that. But because I was passionate about what I had to offer my clients and what I was doing, I persisted with that, and I managed to get quite a number of appointments through the year. But my sales success rate from those appointments that first year was 1 out of 13. So before you start scratching your head and saying, well, what are we listening to this guy for about how to get more clients and sell more easily, I've got to tell you that when I discovered the authority positioning strategy and started to employ that, my sales results improved to 2 out of 3. So hopefully that's enough reason to look at what's that difference. And if you do the maths, that calculates to an 866% improvement in my sales results. So what I found with that initial first year, doing cold calling gives you no authority whatsoever. You're coming across almost desperate in a way of trying to find clients. And a lot of us don't necessarily look desperate, and particularly as we get better at what we do and growing a consulting practice, we have clients and we're starting to get referrals, that level of authority can shift. But there comes a point when we need to go beyond just relying on referrals or getting clients through networking if we're looking to grow our practice and scale beyond those limitations that those two strategies employ. So we'll going deep into that as we go through our presentation today. And hopefully we'll get through that in around about 45 minutes from the start. Okay, so the challenge that I find for most consultants and consulting firms is that before they employ this strategy, there's no consistency in client acquisition. We don't have enough leads to keep us busy enough. Often we find ourselves in situations where we're competing on price against our competitors. And very often we're in a position where we're having to write up proposals to win sales. And a very common one is that we can often find ourselves on a sales roller coaster where our sales are up 1 month, down the next, where we turn our attention to winning some sales when we're quiet, but when we've got the work to do, we turn our attention to doing the work and delivering to our clients, but then we neglect our marketing and our sales fall off, and we've got to divert our attention to where our next clients are coming from. So again, let me know in the chat box if you are experiencing any of these challenges or have experienced challenges and are looking for a way to overcome that. Because after we employ this strategy of authority positioning, we end up with a consistent, predictable and scalable system to attract premium clients. So just love to see comments in the chat, whether that's something that we're working on or something you'd like to be able to achieve. Give you a few seconds there to pop that in the chat. Where can I see my chat? Pop that out there. Yeah, a few coming through. Right, so yeah, it looks like we're dealing with the right problems and challenges here. So one of the things that I find is that when we have those challenges, we can almost think that overcoming those challenges or even reaching a position of having a consistent sales flow, consistent lead flow that turn into high quality clients, it can be almost impossible. Now, you might know, some of you who are old enough maybe recognize this picture I've got in front of me, and who can tell me what it represents? Anyone willing to have a guess or think they know what this picture represents? Good effort, Charlotte. No, but it's not a marathon, although it's a long distance race. To put you out of your misery, everyone. This is a photo of John Landy Roger Bannister in front, who actually passed John Landy in this race. And this was the first race where a runner broke through the 4-minute mile barrier. Now, up until that time, people thought that running faster than a 4-minute mile was impossible for humans. They didn't believe it was possible. And after Roger Bannister broke through that barrier here, within a couple of years, multiple other runners also achieved that level. So it really, what it took was one person to break through that barrier to give others the belief that was possible. So the reason I have this photo here today and talking about belief is often if we are struggling with the challenges we have around client acquisition and we don't believe that we can ever have a process where we can acquire our clients consistently and predictably, then we start to doubt that whether that's possible, and we perhaps believe that it's not even possible. Therefore, we don't try. We just keep on struggling with it and we don't try to do anything differently. So I want to show you that there is a process that you don't have to be the one that breaks through that 4-minute mile barrier in this area, but there have been many of my clients who've broken through this barrier of consistent, predictable client acquisition. These are just some of the success stories of people that I've worked with that I could fit on one page who've managed to achieve that consistency and predictability around client acquisition by employing this authority positioning strategy. And to do that, I've taken them through a program where we start with them stuck and struggling around this and get to the point where they're profitably growing by working on 3 specific aspects of their business in 9 different elements as we'll go through. So I just want to introduce that program. I'm not here to sell you anything today. So that's not the purpose of this, but just to show you that there is a methodology that helps you achieve consistency and predictability around client acquisition with an authority marketing system. So what I have found in looking at different types of professionals and consultants, the way they operate in business and having hundreds of clients that I've dealt with, they tend to come to me in 3 different forms. And the first one I'll call Crisis Chris. Now, Chris is usually a solo professional. They're a consultant who works on their own. And they're always struggling to find new clients. They never have enough clients coming through to keep them busy or really give them enough work, possibly even to replace the income they left behind at the previous job before they started to become a consultant. They're always looking for that next client and they're barely surviving. They're maybe making enough money to get by because as consultants we can charge a reasonable high hourly rate, but that challenge of being able to do the work and do the marketing is always difficult. So Crisis Chris is one type of professional consultant that I've encountered quite a lot. The second type is what I call Bobbing Bobby. Now, Bobby is an owner of a larger business. They've managed to get to a level where they're beyond survival, but their sales flow bobs up and down around a certain point. And typically this occurs because they are busy in their marketing, getting enough work to keep their team busy. And when that team is busy, then the pressure and the urgency goes on to how do we get the work done to deliver according to the deadlines we've set for our clients. So the attention goes to delivery rather than sales and marketing. And therefore, that lack of attention to sales and marketing means that they're next month there's a shortfall, and Bobby starts wondering, how do we get more clients to keep our team busy next month? Then the third type of consultant I find is someone I call Strategic Sam. Strategic Sam has a team of people and a strategic approach to running the business that's becoming scalable and getting towards being saleable. And the reason for that ability to scale and sell is the foundation of the marketing system that is continually in operation. It's a methodology and system that doesn't take a lot of Sam's personal time, but it's operating in the background, continually nurturing and building relationships with clients in a way that brings clients or potential clients to sales meetings where they're requesting help from Sam and the team, so that they're almost pre-sold by the time they actually get to a sales meeting, which obviously makes that sales process a lot easier as well. So have a think about which type of consultant are you? Are you perhaps similar to Crisis Chris, or are you more like Bobbing Bobby, or have you reached the Strategic Sam level? Now, I expect if you are totally at that level of Strategic Sam, you're probably not on this call. You're more likely in the other two categories, or maybe between, or getting closer towards the Strategic Sam stage, but are still looking for that final piece of the puzzle to make your process more predictable and consistent. Yeah, thanks, Emmeline. I think there are a lot of people in that situation getting close to this level, but there's still areas of improvement that could be made. So the first problem I see in the way that most consultants go about their marketing is that there's a lack of clarity about the purpose of their own business for a start with. They're not really clear about what it stands for, who it serves, and what value it offers. And because of that, there's a failure to attract attention from clients because they lack any real relevance. Now, again, this is a very common issue I see. And when I did a Google search on, in this case, consulting firms in Melbourne, this is a website I came across, and I use this one for no particular reason, but the reality was that I could have picked any one of a dozen or more websites to show you, because if we just took out the name, they were all identical. Now, what happens with most websites in consulting, or most consulting firms' websites, is they follow a very similar structure to this one here. And I talk about this being a website that says, here's who we are, here's what we do. And basically, almost every consultant's website or whatever professional service you happen to be in, you could pick your name and all of your competitors would have a website very similar to yours. Now, maybe I won't ask you to out yourself here, but if this resembles your website, then there's some challenges around this, because what I see with websites like this is that there's no real reason or no real relevance to your ideal clients in why choose you. Now, ironically, on this website, it has why choose us, but all it's offering here is a range of services. It's not really offering any value or any real strategic reason why a potential client would choose this firm over any of its competitors, because, as I said, go to the competitors' websites and you'll find, here's who we are, here's what we do. They offer the same range of services, and they really don't promote themselves in any different way. So what this creates is almost a commoditization of the market. It creates a competitive environment where if a client is actually looking for these services and really they're often not, they don't really know why these services are relevant to the particular problem they have. But occasionally someone will come through and in this case, oh, we need some business advice or we need a business plan. These guys do that. Let's get them to give us a proposal. But they're also going to 3 or 4 other consultants to get a proposal as well. Does anyone agree that that's typically what will happen? Maybe a hand up if anyone I can see if that's what your experience might be. Yep. So this is typically the problem with the way that we market ourselves, and a website being one of our main ways we're presenting ourselves to our target market. But if our marketing is not relevant, then we're not attracting our ideal clients. And because we're actually not really appealing to anyone, we're not providing them with a reason why we are offering what we're offering. We're not providing them with any real value proposition in a website like this. They typically don't see the relevance of what we offer to them in their situation. So this is where authority positioning is so important, because we need to, first of all, start off with a powerful purpose. If anyone's seen the TED talk from Simon Sinek about start with why, it's very common that consultants have seen that. If you haven't, just look on YouTube and look it up. It's well worth watching. But he talks about the value of starting with why, because people need to know why we do what we do to see the relevance to them. They need to know why we do what we do, even more importantly than knowing what it is we do. Then the other factor here that's really important is identifying what I call our premium client persona. We want to identify who is our ideal client or our premium level client, because if we're going to invest time and effort into marketing, why not make sure that we're attracting our premium level clients to us rather than any clients? And one of the problems I see with the style of marketing where we're not specific about who our client is that we want to attract is that we attract a mixed bag of clients, or even through referrals, we get a mixed bag of clients that often mean that we have to almost reinvent the wheel in the way we work with them on every different project, or come up with a new way of solving that particular client's problem, because they're so different from all of our other clients. And that creates complexity in the business, which makes it hard to work with our clients, and even more expensive in the way that we operate our business. And the third element of this authority positioning is really deciding what is our positioning, what do we want to present to our clients so that they see that we're relevant to them. And that relevance is more about focusing on the problems that they have and the problems that we solve, rather than the services that we provide. So Helene Higby was a client of mine that was in a situation where they had a lot of business. They were a team of 7 consultants, and they had a lot of work, were really busy in what they were doing, but a lot of their work was very transactional, very low priced work that wasn't really the best sort of work that they could do, but it was what they were getting referrals for more often than not. And because they didn't have a proactive marketing strategy at that time when I started working with them, they were busy but barely profitable. And what happens in this process is when we have a mixed bag of clients, often we can be busy and our revenue can be high, but our profit margins are small because it's challenging to do the work and meet deadlines. But we don't get the profitable sort of work that we can get if we're dealing only with our premium level clients. So when we changed the strategy for Higby Schaeffler, they started to win work from some of the top level companies in New Zealand, and winning more work at a strategic level, where they're able to have a much greater impact, do their best work, and charge quite a lot more significantly for the projects they were doing. So before we deal with problem number 2, I'll just pause for a minute to see if anyone has any questions or comments at the moment, and feel free to come off mute if you want to ask a question at this stage, or pop it in the chat if you prefer that. Okay, everyone happy at this stage? It doesn't look like any questions coming through. Okay, well, problem number 2 is that without a marketing strategy that's effective, consulting firms are unable to differentiate their firm or services from their competitors, and are therefore often regarded as commodities in the market. The lack of specialisation often leads to scope creep and inefficiencies, and I've mentioned that already. But this often the choice to specialise in what you do, whether that's around a specific target market or solving a specific problem, if we're in the business of trying to be all things to all people, we are really being nothing to no one. It's a pretty coarse way or weak way to put that, but unless we're really focused on who our premium level clients are and trying to attract more of them, then we create complexity in our business in the way that we go about doing the work. As I said, every new client presents a different challenge where we have to look at how can we solve their problem or serve them, and it requires perhaps a more expensive, more experienced consultant to be able to do that work, to have the intelligence to come up with a different way of working. But if we're able to specialise and focus our specialisation on the specific type of client who has a specific type of problem, we're able to build a much simpler business model where there's a lot more consistency and predictability about the work that we do for our clients, and therefore we can train less qualified, less expensive people to be able to do that work for them. So it simplifies our business model, simplifies the approach, and it also makes it easier to attract more clients that are similar, but also then to be able to scale our business because we've got a much more simple operation with less complexity in the process. So one of the other factors is, without specifying that our work around a specific type of client and a specific type of problem they have, we do tend to be commoditized, and that master-servant relationship comes into play. When we have people coming to us because they want a specific service from us, that's where they're inviting multiple consultants to come in and do proposals for them, which means if we win it, we're probably the cheapest, which means we've got to worry that maybe we haven't charged enough, and it creates a challenge around that. But also because they're the master and we're the servant in that process, they can be much more in control of the process, and that can often lead to scope creep because we haven't been specific enough about what the service involves and where it ends and where there's extra costs involved. So if they keep coming to us and asking for more, we're often in a position of not being able to charge more for the extra things they ask, and because we don't have that status in the relationship as the authority. So authority positioning here gives us more status in a relationship where our clients are really doing what we're asking them to do. We're solving their problem, we're running the project, and where they fit into the project is doing the things that they need to do for us to be successful in the project. So it really changes the relationship in the dynamics of it, where we are no longer the servant and they're the master. I like to say we need to move from being the servant to becoming the savior. We're the authority in that relationship, where they're looking to us for the answers to solve their problem, and they're much more compliant in the way that they work with us and much more willing to follow our process and allow us to do our best work for them, which leads to much better results in the long term. So here's another way, and again, another random website that I picked, which really demonstrates how this works, where we're just saying, here are all the things that we do, here are the services we provide. That really just means that a client can come to us and say, oh, yeah, we need a bit of work around our organisational structure. We'll give these guys in to give us a quote. But they're also looking at all the competitors' websites on that search on Google, because they're all saying exactly the same thing. So we're really not able to present any level of authority and any difference to be able to differentiate ourselves from our competitors through websites like this, which are the norm for consulting firms. So the answer to this problem is to be able to provide a value proposition that our clients can see that really differentiates us from our competitors. And to do that, we need to, first of all, go through a process of really understanding what the challenges our clients have are. And when we've already predetermined who are our premium level clients, we can become much more intimate with the types of challenges that they're experiencing. We also know or come to learn what their ultimate outcomes are that they're looking for, so that we can design our business model to be a specialised solution for them, so that our competitors cannot compete with us because they haven't done this work to develop the specialised solution that we have for our premium level clients. So when it comes to offering a solution, we're offering one thing and our clients are offering, our competitors are offering something else. So we have a way of standing out quite differently from our competitors by doing this work around focused specialisation. Now, when we went through this process with Damien Battersby at Proactive IT Solutions, we were able to double their turnover within 12 months of going through this process. And really what happened there was, instead of being all things to all people, and in the IT area that they were involved in, they were getting a lot of people coming and bringing their computers with problems and breakdowns. And when we analysed the work that they were doing and the profitability of that work, there was about 50% of their revenue that was being generated that was actually not profitable. It was barely profitable, and some of it actually cost them money. So we actually decided to eliminate those services from their repertoire. We developed a really focused specialisation around one particular type of client and the particular problems that they were continuously experiencing, and devoted all of the marketing attention to attracting those clients. When we had that focus, they not only doubled their revenue because of that focus, but the profitability of that work was so much more as well, because they were able to charge more for it because of the specialisation for it, but also the quality of the clients was such that they were working with those clients in a long-term relationship rather than a transactional type of work of, fix my computer type situation that they were often in before. So that focus really changed the dynamics of who they were and how the clients saw them, so that they were willing to invest much more for a much more tailored, customised service that met their specific needs. So this positioning of, around authority, around focused specialisation, really sets you apart from your competitors in a way that they really can't compete, because you're offering something totally different from the norm. Okay, so again, any questions here that might have arisen there? Any comments that might be relevant to your situation? Okay, nothing coming through. We'll move on then to problem number 3, is having no system to attract your best clients and just being dependent on referrals and networking. And there's nothing wrong with those methods, except for the fact that they're not predictable or scalable. If you're relying on referrals to come through and you want to increase or accelerate the growth rate in your business, you don't have any ability to do that if you're just relying on referrals, because really it's our referees that are in control of that process. It's when they find a referral for us that they're able to present someone that gives us another opportunity. There's nothing we can do to accelerate that process. So if we want to grow our sales results, we need a better, more consistent process to build clientele. Because, and again, when it comes to marketing, we need to be really specific about building a system here that creates our ideal clients coming to us rather than just anybody. Because when we're going out to the market to do our marketing, we miss the key ingredient that referrals bring to the table, and that's trust and a certain level of knowledge that they have about who we are and the sort of results that we've been able to achieve from the people who referred them to us. So we end up dealing with a situation where we've got skeptical people sitting across the other side of the desk or on the other side of the computer these days who don't know much about us, don't know much about our reputation or what we stand for, don't know much about the sort of customers we work for or our company's reputation. And they're really just waiting for us to try to convince them about why they should buy from us. Now, that's not a great situation to be in, but potentially getting into a sales situation with someone like that is fairly commonplace for consultants as well, when we don't have a proper strategic authority marketing system in place. So the real factor here is that selling consulting services, we are not trying to make sales. What we're really looking for, and our aim should be, to attract premium level clients who want a long-term relationship with us. So that's not about making a sale. That's about a client acquisition process that sets up that relationship to be value on both sides for the long term. So it can't be a short-term process. And often we fall into the trap of getting an inquiry and going straight to a sales meeting with that person who's making the inquiry and trying to sell them our services straight away. What I've found that it is a much more effective process to slow down the process, to not go immediately for the sale, but to firstly nurture those leads that we're getting. Firstly, educate them and give them more information about how we solve the particular problem that they're coming to us with. And during that process, we want to actually build more demand from them. We want to build their desire to solve the problem, but also educate them around our unique solution or to help them solve that problem so that they're coming to see us more as the authority in this process. People don't tend to wake up one morning and say, oh, I need some help with this. Let's call whoever it is that they find. There's a process where they go through a buyer's journey where they start off, first of all, becoming aware of a problem. Then they start to do research about potential solutions to that problem. Then they come to narrowing down their potential options. And then they're ready to engage somebody to help them solve that problem. Now, our marketing system needs to correspond to that buyer's journey. If we're just marketing ourselves, like the websites we talk about with here's who we are, here's what we do, we're really only offering solutions to the people who are ready to buy. My process that has been much more successful than that style of marketing has helped intercept a potential client much earlier on in the process, where they're just becoming aware of the problem. And by communicating with them, by educating with them, by nurturing them, by teaching them how they can have their problem solved and what's the best way to solve their specific problem, and that typically will correspond to our unique way of solving that problem. By the time they come to a sales meeting in that situation, they're seeing us as the only viable option for them. They're not seeing, or they're not even getting proposals from others at that point. There is no competition because we've blown the competition out of the water, because we've demonstrated that we are the authority in the process. So when we installed this system with Shelley Thompson, she was really just a beginner in the business. She had a lot of experience in the medical services field, but she wanted to go into business to be focusing and helping medical service providers be much more patient-centric in the way that they deliver their services, so that the patient experience was a much better experience than what she had seen being delivered by most doctors and medical services. She is now regarded as Australia's #1 authority in patient-centred growth strategies. And she's now working on university boards and some of the major, well, she's a keynote speaker at some of the major medical conferences around Australia, because we have created a marketing system that's presented her as the authority, and a communication and education process where clients see that what she has to offer is so much different from many of her competitors. So she is now first choice in her particular field. So putting that whole system together, it's really about creating your authority positioning process, developing a business model around your focus specialisation, and then building an attraction system that attracts your premium level clients consistently and predictably, bringing them into a sales meeting where they're basically ready to buy your services and almost demanding that you take them on as a client. So if you would like to talk to me about that, I'll just get out of the way of that, and I'll put that in the chat box there for you. If you would like a 60-minute chat with me about how we can support you to build that sort of system in your business, then just go to that page there, businessflightpath.com/strategy-session. I've just put that link in the chat box for you if you'd like to go there and schedule a call with me when we can talk about your specific situation and look and see if we can add value to you. Now we're right on the 45-minute mark. That wasn't too bad, was it? You've got to give me a bit of credit from that. But if you don't have to rush away, then yeah, let's spend a bit of time on Q&A. If you have any questions, if you don't have to rush off straight away, I've got a few minutes up my sleeve here to answer any questions you might have. So feel free to come off mute and ask away, or put a question in the chat box if you prefer to do that. So,
hi, Greg.
Yeah, Peter. Hi. Good.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry, apologies for arriving a bit late, but I got the most of it. Well, one of the things that I struggle with is obviously having a scalable system.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my leads come to me really warm.
Yeah.
But especially in these trying times, with the cost of inflation, interest rates.
Yeah.
And I've got this one company. They've been buying up businesses for $1 million at a piece, and they're trying to grow their portfolio to $10 million.
Right.
And they want me to come on board, say, hey, we'd love you to come on board. We heard about your work. We want you to work with us to grow to flesh out our strategy, help us grow to that $10 million portfolio. So I've said, yeah, I can jump on board. But, they're not yet ready to sort of pay the premium price that I'm offering. So I gave them an option of shares, or stock options within their company.
Yeah.
If I'm help them grow a $10 million portfolio, even a combination of payment and stock options.
Yeah.
Is that correct in doing that, or am I undervaluing what I'm doing from a strategic growth?
Yeah, well, the quick answer is, and I don't know the situation fully, but I think the quick answer is that you probably are undervaluing what you do. My experience has been that if people know the value that you have to offer, they will find the money to invest in your services. But one other thing there I want to pick up on is that they have come to you asking you a specific question about, can you do this for us? And it sounds like you've pretty quickly jumped to saying, yes, I can help you with that. Now, this is a very common situation and very natural. Of course, we're consultants, we're offering solutions. So when a client asks us, can you solve this problem for me? The natural thing for us is to say, yes, I can do that for you. But then you're in that master-servant situation. They're the master, you're the servant. And that's where you're not positioning yourself as the authority. My strategy has always been, first of all, to take away the sale. Let's say, if I was answering that question, if they were asking me, I would be saying, well, it's possible that I might be able to solve that problem for you. But before we do that, I need to know a lot more about your situation. So I can't promise anything, but there are several steps in the process that we need to go through first before I'm willing to make a commitment to you. So that way we're assuming some authority in the process, but we're also making them jump through a few hoops first that will add more value to the whole sales process. That part of that process is also adding value to them, so they're getting value even before they pay for our services. But it's also elevating our authority, because if they're willing to jump through those easy hoops and get some value from us, they then see more about what we can do and achieve long term, and will be more willing to pay what we're asking at that point.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, let's jump on a call, Peter, and let's have a deeper dive into that situation for you, if you like.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll book one now shortly.
Yeah, cool. Any other questions, Emmeline? That was a question for Peter, I assume there. Okay, Ronak, great to have you on the call, and all the best. So, any other quick questions before we wrap it up? I think that's a good comment there, Emmeline. If they can afford to buy all those businesses, I'm sure they could afford to pay you, Peter. No other questions? Anything that you'd like to comment on, or anything that you've learned today that stands out?
Hello, Greg.
Yes, Denisha, is it?
Chris.
Oh, Chris. Hi, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I just got one question. I'm coming down the scale now. So, as an independent consultant,
yes,
and say winning work from other risk consultancies, would this method still work when you're working, say, to another consultancy?
It's more challenging to be able to market yourself that way. but it can still work. You do have to do a little bit more, or be a little bit more independent. Can you tell me a little bit more detail about your situation, Chris?
No, it's just that where I normally collect my work is from say word of mouth or the references.
Sure. Yeah.
As an independent working for a consultancy, but also I would say win clients independently.
Right.
So really, I'm trying to come up with a system which works, I suppose, at the moment across the board.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've seen a lot of consultants in that situation get their own clients, and actually, when you can do that, you obviously will make more money because you're cutting out the middleman. But I think it's definitely a process worth considering, Chris. If you want to make more money for the work that you're actually doing, and having the ability to win your own clients rather than having to go through the other consulting firm to be able to win work, then it's definitely a process I'd be looking at.
Okay, thank you, Greg.
Yeah, again, jump on a call and we can discuss that further and see if I can add any value for you there, Chris.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, thank you everyone for your participation in the call today. Hopefully I've delivered good value, and as I said, I'd love to have an individual one-on-one call with you to talk about your specific situation and see if I can add some value to that with no pressure. You've seen the process that I go through, so if you would like to talk about how we can work together longer term, I'm happy to have that conversation as well, but the initial conversation is really devoted to your situation, see if I can provide some answers for you and add some quick value. And as I said to Peter, if I can add some value and help you, then you might be more able to pay me for my services down the track. So love to see you on that sort of call. But again, thanks for participation today, and look forward to seeing you again soon. We'll wrap it up there for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.